This episode of Riders Talk is presented by Maison Du Cavalier.
So I'm here today, finally, to have a nice rider's talk with Marlon Zanotelli, Pan American gold medalist. Marlon, thank you for your time, and let's go straight to the point. Marlon, do you remember in your career, in the beginning or at any point struggling somehow or with some doubt in yourself or things like that in the beginning? How was it for you, the beginning and so?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, Hugh, for making your time to do this and all the work you're doing. I think is fantastic. Definitely, I think as any other athlete, we always have doubts. When I think not so many people know, but there was a period after I left, when I came to Europe, I was by Ludo Philippart for a bit more than 2 years. Just after that, I went to StepX for a short period. And right before I came to Enda, I quit Europe. I went back to Brazil and I kind of decided I was not going to ride anymore. Mm-hmm. So I literally didn't sit in a horse for 2 months. And that was good in a way because really showed me that this is what I love doing it because I really missed it, the time I was without riding. And I thought I had lost my opportunity. The time I was at Ludo, I had a great time there and everything. And I thought I had lost my opportunity here in Europe in general. And then Enda called me when I was in Brazil to try to come back. And that's how I came back. So for me, that was definitely a really moment where I thought I was not good enough. Yeah, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to make it in the high level sport. The dream it's just a dream.
But the doubt was mostly in terms of the opportunities, or it was also something like, am I good enough for this also?
I think they come very related. Yeah. I think when you have the opportunity and things are going well, it's very easy to think that you're going to achieve. But when either whatever happens to your horse or to your career, you change path and you think is the right path and things doesn't really go well, then you start doubting and creating questions and the brain plays funny tricks. Myself, as a young building up, like my whole career I did a lot. I represent Brazil in every level and so on, children, junior, young riders and the championships in Brazil, and won a lot in the north of Brazil and in Sao Paulo and so on. So you grow with a belief that you're good, and then until you find a real challenge.
And then the Europe is a big test, no?
It was.
If it's big, if it's good enough for the world, yeah, for the high level.
Exactly. And when I started by Ludo was also again really inside Ludo's place, step by step to get the chance, and then I got the chance, and then I could prove that I was good, and I was feeling like that. But then at the moment I went to StepX and things didn't really go as I expected, or as StepX also expected to go. And then you start to question yourself, am I good enough? Was then the last place the opportunity I had, and I miss it. And then you get to a point where in my case, I was tired and fed up, and I didn't think being away from my family, you know how close I am with my family, being away from my family alone here in Europe in the winters and stuff like that, all that was worth it. So that's why I came back to Brazil, and I then at that point I thought about quitting. I stopped riding for a bit just to get a clear view of my life and see where I was going, and they called me to come back. At that time I was riding a little bit again, but at the same time I didn't really see myself in Brazil, which in one way was sad. It was my country I love and I love to live there, but I didn't see myself in the sport in Brazil. I didn't think it fit my profile. And when I came back here with Enda, then things, without too much of expectations or pressure, things start just to develop and go and forget about that part. Nowadays in the higher level, still doubts. Like the doubts are a bit different now. Maybe for myself, I talk that to my students, because I maybe achieved a level, I've been top 10, win the medals and everything, but still there is doubts. Am I going to have another horse that's going to make a difference for me, that I can have that chance? It's my system, the right system? Is the way I'm evolving, is that the right way? Is the way the horse is the sport is evolving, am I evolving with, or am I staying behind? So there is thousands of questions and self-doubts that is also going
through. So the sport is not something that you are there and you are relaxed, no? We are always looking for the next step.
And we are never fully satisfied, which it's again sad in one way, but it is because we don't enjoy that moment as much as we should. But by not being fully satisfied is also what brings you to the next and to the next and to the next level, and keeps the search to improve or to learn something or to get better in something. But even when I was top 10 in the world, I was still there, like, or I didn't win that Grand Prix or that Grand Prix, or I didn't do this or that. You know, you always like thinking that you still have to do a lot more, and instead of sometimes enjoying that moment, because it's really a special moment that you don't know if you're going to go back to it. I mean, it's very hard to say it.
I'd like to talk a bit about talent, because first of all, if as you said, as a young rider and everything, you had the titles, so you had the feeling that, of course, you were successful in what you were doing. And I ask you, at home, from the family, from friends, you heard frequently that, oh, this guy is a talent guy, or it was something that took time, that you felt that the environment see you as a talent guy?
I think from outside a lot, like friends and things like that a lot. My dad has been a big part of my career. He is the one who teach me all the way through, and still today we change ideas about horses and stuff. But my dad has a say that results comes before work only on the dictionary, right? So we gotta work to get somewhere, and he always said, if you work harder and you're talented, you have a bigger chance. If you're not talented and you work hard, you're still gonna achieve it. So he always pushed me to work. But definitely I heard from other parents.
There was talent,
kids.
Of course.
Yeah, it was. Looking back to my videos as a kid, you can clearly see there was a talent, a natural talent. 9-10-year-old, I can see my videos.
There was a feel.
It was a feel for the horses. I mean, and of course, knowing that my dad being and my family being horse people, they tried to give all the chance I could, the biggest experience I could. I rode a lot of horses. They travel 800 kilometers from me to jump a national show in Recife for one day and back. You know, like they tried to do as much as they could for me to get experience, get mileage, and different horses and different styles.
Because I remember a few months ago I went training one day at Yuri's, and he put it was like a line, and then there was a turn to another oxer or a vertical, and there was a fence in between. That the exercise was really simple. We were trying to do as less possible strides, like in a jump off. Yeah. But to achieve that, the timing of doing, if you go too close to that fence in between, then the turn was quite not nice. And then if you go also around, so there was the right timing. And Yuri said at the moment, if you look Marlon, these things, he's like in the video games. He knows exactly where to get the perfect track, and then it was kind of an example that he gave that there is talent, but there is also like an obsession for the details. And I'd like to hear from you if you are always like studying ways to have a little edge here, an edge there.
I think this is amazing, because I always joke that our office is open. Like when you go to a show, everybody's working. Yeah. And you have the chance to sit in someone's office and watch the guy work. Like this weekend you were there also, we have a chance to sit down and watch Marco Zenning flat a horse or do a warm-up with a horse and go in the ring, and you can see what they're trying to do. And if you don't understand, or you see something and you don't understand what they're trying, they're very open for you to go and ask. As a rider, we talk a lot together in that sense. How do you do that, or that bit, or that turn, or this or that? So I think by my curiosity, I think that comes all those things, and is something that I can remember maybe from 2019-20 that we start talking about those things. And also about the bending lines. If my horse has too big of a stride, go a bit wider to don't waste time slowing down, and things like that has been developed, I think, in the near future, because everybody's trying to find the little 0.10 to beat one another. And I love any kind of sport, so I really enjoy watching racing, Formula One.
So it's a natural curiosity and a no end search, like you are always searching for.
Always, and my dad is someone which is very a lot on the theory, his study, and he has a lot of background on that. And also, back in the days, you have a lot of exercise to teach you to do the right turn with ground pole work and stuff like that. That you have to do the 3 strides here, the 3 strides there, and then it starts to get the right smooth turn, and you start to learn. And I think that's also has a lot to do with your feel with your horse, to really understand your horse. There's a horse turns bad to the right, turn good to the left, shoulders goes this way or that way, and
that's one thing that I want to make a very specific question for you, because I was watching the videos, and also another thing that I discussed with Yuri, because he told me like, Nando, since 2 years ago I didn't know how to turn. He was like exaggerating, but I thought it was really interesting, because me also I was figuring out in the last months, or the last at least 1 or 2 years, the impact of what you do with the shoulders and the balance and the weight distribution over the turns. And I was looking your videos, it's very often I see sometimes a counter bending, and I don't know if you do instinctively
yeah.
or if it's something very conscious, but I see how you pilot and you manage sometimes counter bending over the turns. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, it's a long theory of mine, but which many times goes a little against the original dressage work and so on. But I always say that where the shoulder points, the body follows, right? So on the turn, most of the horses, they are naturally bent one way, either this way or that way. Some more, some less, but they're all that. And my view as a rider, when I sit on for the first time in a horse, is to try to realize where is the 3 points, head, shoulders and hindquarters in a line view. So if the head is going left, most of the time shoulders goes right and hindquarters go left. So they're bending to the left, the same the opposite way. And as a rider and physical trainer of my horse, what I try to aim for is to get straightness, because that's the hardest thing to do, right? So to try to bring those points aligned. That's a simple way to do it, because there are so many facts involved to it. It's so hard to do it. So when you ride a horse and you turn, like let's say this horse that we said, left with the head, shoulder to the right, hindquarters to the left. When you turn in a left turn, if you bend him more left, the shoulder is going to go more right. Then the shoulder is going there, the body is following there, your distance is getting long, so you go either on the very long one or on a heading stride, so you're slower than everybody else. So if you manage to bring that shoulder in, that's why maybe, like you said, sometimes looks like I'm going in a counterband or sort of.
But it's like the way the 3 points, as you said, they get aligned. The alignment and the following to the target.
Yes, and then to the other side to try to have the opposite, because if your horse, when you turn, he's looking that way and is not bended to the inside, the shoulder is falling in. The shoulder falling in is going to drag you deep, and most of the time it can be lose the shoulder or get into the front rail of the ox or a vertical. So it's to understand all this process, and it's so complex, our sport. Sounds very simple, this thing, but has so much to do also with conformation, veterinary work, and there's a lot of things that you have to understand on your horse to know if you can be doing that, or if you, by doing that, you're actually causing damage or not. But if you keep it simple way of thinking, I think if you aim for the straightness on those 3 points, I think you're already helping your horse a lot to get a better jump, a better quality, better connection. And then if your horse is following you and all this, then all this turns and all this one last stride around the corner and stuff can get easier.
It's really nice the way you explain, because one thing that I sometimes I got a hard time explaining in a clinic, it's the concept of straightness in the turn, because by definition, the turn is not something straight, it's a
Yes.
circle. But it's the alignment, the key. No?
Yes, I
Straightness.
think that's what makes the horses stronger and better. I think it's to understand this alignment and then try to work with it to make them stronger.
'Cause I see on some videos, sometimes the turns are not perfect, but the way you are doing with the head and with the shoulder, in the last ride, the alignment comes
Yes.
sometimes. And tell me if I'm wrong or not, but it seems that in the last two or one stride or whatever, the last three, the closest you get to the fence is where they have to be in balance.
Exactly,
That's it.
100%. Like Jean-Maurice Bonneau used to say, they have to be on the four legs.
On the four legs
Exactly.
before the jump.
Before the jump, of course, there is times you have to risk and you take diagonals and the horse is not in balance, but luckily we ride fantastic horses and they can find a way to jump it. But if you can't get that, most of the time you have a better chance to jump it.
Also, competition sometimes is not perfect.
No,
That
definitely
is
not.
It's part of that's why I say to people, don't blame yourself too much during the round, because things happen.
Exactly.
But we have to do as
It's
good
like
as possible.
you have to work at home to look for this perfection and so on, and then you go in the ring, you kind of have to race it and let it just ride, feel it, and then after you analyze it. And your brother told me one time this many years ago, you analyze it, you did a mistake, you analyze it, what could I have done different, and then forget it. Like now you hear all the time from different athletes, like Federer has this speech very famous about the best athletes are the ones who can quickest forget the mistake. That's the ones that can make the difference. So all those things, but I totally agree with you. When you're in the ring, it's about riding the ring from your feeling, and all the work that you put at home should be there by itself.
I recently put up a list of it's basically everything I see the top 10 riders doing in terms of straightness, distance, in terms of attitude and the rhythm to starting the round. But some people said it's too many things to think, and I reply, but we work at home, like I was saying, to automate. But let's say that still sometimes there is a weekend that we are thinking a bit too much. How you choose what to think? You try to think mostly on the middle of the fences or in the distance when you are doing your mental preparation for the ring. You have some points that you focus more to have more conscious about.
So in a normal preparation for a course for me, when I walk the course and I go through the course mentally, visualizing the course, I literally try to anticipate everything my horse can do. So because I know supposedly well my horse, with the shoulders, the alignments, what they do, I practice a lot at home. I know what they're gonna anticipate on that line, that combination with the light, with the screen, he's gonna spook there on the flower or whatever. So I try to anticipate all the cases, and then I try to ride my round as a perfect round. I don't try to ride like, if you come there and this jump you cannot jump, it's gonna knock down. If I go on this mentality, it's very hard. Once this is done, when I'm in the warm-up, I'm only focused on like basically exactly the same at home, really on working the body of my horse, getting him proper warmed up, and focus on what I have to work on the jump, before the jump, after the jump. Very rarely you're gonna see me jump at fences, stop, jump at fences, stop. I'm always moving and trying to work my horses in between and using that to get my horse ready for the ring. If things are going bad, like I'm not in a good weekend, things are not, I try to stick back to basics. Like really go back to basics. And I always joke, the horse when he goes in the ring, he needs to do 5 things well. It's go forward, go slow down, turn right, turn left, and go straight. So if I can get them doing those things a little bit good, then it's good. With my mental coach, and so we try to say it when I'm in a bad weekend, try to focus in 3 things, try to achieve 3 things that are fairly easy for you to try just to change the momentum. So silly things, I try to start my course before 30 seconds after the bell, so that I'm focused on that. I'm gonna commit, because that's what I do. I get on with 20 normally. I'm gonna commit to myself that I'm gonna get on my horse with 20 and I'm gonna start jumping with 10, so that I'm doing the right thing. Like I'm committed, and if I me said that's just a lack of commitment. There's nothing to do with my riding. So small things like that I challenge myself with makes you feel, okay, I got on 20, good job. Then you start to feel a little bit positive about your things. This horse, my goal with this horse is to get a good transition after my jump in the warm-up. Oh, I got that, super. And you don't think, then you forget about the ring, you forget about the result. You create for yourself different goals on that show that has nothing to do with the result.
Really interesting.
And then when you're in the ring, the result will come.
It's almost like a mind trick, no?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I love mind tricks.
Yeah, they're playing with you all the time, your mind, that's for sure. And then at one point you get a result, and then it's like, oh, I cannot make mistakes anymore. Everything starts to just come easier and easier.
Really nice. Marlon, I was also observing some riders that have has built the foundations of its riding on constant contact. And I see you ride with constant contact, as I see, rather than half halts, let's say. Tell me a little bit about the difference between using half halts as a resource or mostly as a constant contact as a foundation.
Yeah, I think it's very different from schools to schools. No, I think the American school is very much on half halts as well, and I mean it's very different from rider to rider. There's riders who really don't like to have any weight on their hands. There's riders who like to have a bit of weight on the hands. In my personal case, I don't like heavy on my hands, but I don't like no contact. I really need to have contact. I have this concept idea of horses have to stay between hand and leg, that everybody hears, correct? We all speak about it, but and I don't remember who explained me what means the horse to be between hand and leg, really blow my head open about it. So simple, what a horse is between hand and leg is like that the horse, it's not behind your leg. That does it means that the horse is of course not dropping behind your leg, but also not behind your hand. And when you want to go forward, that the horse is also not passing through your contact, right? So the idea is that when you have to slow down, that this horse is never dropping behind your leg, that he stays in front of it, but at the same time that he's not passing your contact because you're asking him to slow down. And then the same thing the other way around, when you want to go forward, not that the horse is trying to drop and then not trying to grab you and run with you. So by this concept being said, then my idea is that the horse has to carry himself. And of course there's horses who tends to lean, so that horse I try to make it lighter. There's horses who try to stay light, and that horse I try to make him lean against my hand. So it's always a little bit the same idea with the 3 points, to do a little bit the opposite what the horse naturally do. To have horses in the contact, I think you need to have your horse a lot more on your leg than normally you would need if a horse it's just pulling you and you can do half halts. And that's something I really believe on. Like my horses, they need to be on my leg. And I think there is also a lot of confusion or misunderstanding about what is leg, because many people you see using spurs as leg, and in my view this is not leg. Leg in my view is pressure of calf, like you see Marcus Enning riding all the time. He's collecting the horse, a lot of pressure with the leg if he needs to, but there is no spurs contact. The spur is there if he needs to ask the horse something extra. And I think this for me, it's my line of thinking. And I think the horses, most of them is like, how do you call it, like an arc. So when you can create a little bit this tension between hand and leg and contact, I think the horses tend to have a lot more
loading
scope.
The spring.
Exactly. I think that's basically my idea of it.
Through the years, that contact with the calf, you have developed and reinforced.
It was not. I had the understanding of leg, but it was never something that I think it was something I developed myself by watching. And this was, I think, the year I met Angelica. I think she taught me that. In the sense of watch, like she opened my eyes to it. Like one time I remember I jump around with Nenofar Jack, was a grey horse that Michel Hobet used to ride, And I said to her, the horse really is a bit on and off, and really sometimes tries to take me in the last stride, goes behind me and really tries to take me. And then she said, yeah, but you don't have leg on. I said, yeah, but how can I have leg if the horse is just running with me, right? She said, no, but try to, like, if imagine that you're hugging your horse, like if you're trying to get his hip cage and lift it up. And then by doing that, he's gonna feel much more controlled, and then you're not gonna need to use your hands. So I did that the next day and was like, boom, like something changed, you know. So that's something you can teach your horses. Like if you get on with her horses, you close the leg, you barely need to touch the mouth. And the moment the horses learn that, imagine jump a 3-stride to a plank at 160, that you don't have to pull in their mouth, that you can just go down the saddle and close your legs.
Nice.
And they sit up, they're focused on the jump, not focused on you pulling on their teeth out. So I think those things are very interesting from the flat work.
When I had this video in my channel that about 15 years ago, you had a short line and your leg goes, that's totally related to this subject. No?
You know which horse was that?
No, which one was?
Cabri van de Heffing.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's Lan Aken with Cabri, yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like before was much more heels forward.
The old books
the
was a bit
stirrups.
like that.
Yeah.
I remember the old books were like you have to go back like this and like
Exactly.
for like the weight going like this.
Exactly.
But I
Push,
think that,
use the stirrups to
Yeah.
brake, and then 100% it was. I still use the stirrups to brake, but it's in a different sense. It's not going forward but going down. It's a different because at the moment also that you push down your stirrups, naturally your calf gets in contact to the horse and you're not touching them with the spurs. So naturally you're hugging them more. That is it's so interesting, and it is very different from rider to
do
rider.
you think that hugging concept, I view that as abs activation, because I had a mare that when I used to go backwards with her and she was really tense like that. There was a time that I was trying to do more, and then one day I was thinking it's not by doing more, it's by doing differently. And then once I started to do really with my leg there, I noticed that she started to do this,
Yes.
and then go backwards like this. And I was thinking, now she's using the abs, something
Yes.
like that. And I was starting to think about how you view as back and abs on a horse.
It's basically is what you said there now. So like Angelica said to me, it's like you're hugging your horse and you're lifting the hip cage. So the moment you lift the hip cage, it's just like us. To lift the hip cage, you need to put your abs in. And people talk all about the hind legs, get the hind legs underneath, but the only way the hind legs can get underneath is if the abs are activated and the hip cage lifts up, that the back creates a space so that there's space to get in, right? There is no way a horse is gonna get the hind legs in if they are upside down this way. So that's, to me, it's the understanding and the view of it. I love to talk about biomechanics. I love to see a horse move and try to understand it, and then try to put in action when we are on it. And of course, like you said, sometimes you have a horse that still don't understand it and takes time to it, and you have to find tools to bring the information. You cannot just get there and do this tomorrow and think that's gonna work. It has to be explain and make them understand the leg first, and understand the slowing down with the calf and things like that, to then get to the point where your horse is going to really, hey, this is meaning slowing down and collect yourself. So to get to that point takes months, takes time. It's not something that changes one day to another.
And also the relation between this and the way you use the stirrup and the calf and the seat, because I also observed through the years that I see on some riders that the seat before was something more aggressive. Either when they are some riders are more deeply on the saddle, and most of them nowadays are a bit at 2 points most of the times. But even those that are deeply seated, I observe that they are moving with more, as they are like massaging the back of the horse instead of having the impact on the back of the horse. Tell me a bit about that, and you can be honest if that's if you feel is something like that or not.
No, I do think so. I think the sport involved so much. The speed we go nowadays, it's unreal. If you think 10-15 years ago, the way we ride today in the ring, it's much more. width and forward movement and with the horse and the forward movement than it was before, I think, in my opinion. Before was a lot more collection in the ring, try to keep them, but in the sport nowadays, with the time allows how they are, how fast the jump offs are, it's impossible. The sport naturally teaches us to ride on that direction, and that the horses have to think more by themselves, they have to be smarter, and the communication between us and the horses has to be better. We have to be into the really sensitive details with the horses, and I think the only way to do that is the way that the riding is going with the position. But I still think when we are home and we are on the flat work at home, still the old school still there, like still seated, still trotted, still trotting without stirrups, it's still like this. The riding that we have in the ring now, it's only possible because of the way I think we educate them at home. And to educate at home, it still is the old school dressage with, of course, there is evolution, things has changed, and the way the horses are today, a lot more light blood and all this, we have to also train them in a different way. We cannot train them the same as they were 30 years ago, at least when I rode horses 20 years ago. It was totally different type of horses. Nowadays we have a lot of blood sensitive horses that don't accept that kind of work, and we have to learn to deal with that. So to me, I think in the ring it's going to be more and more, as you said, riders riding a bit more in the forward movement, a bit more with the horse in that sense, than the old ways.
And now that you said about how sensitive the horses are getting, I also remember an important topic. We want to control the horse, but at the same time, we don't want to disturb the horse. I see you as a rider that almost never we see really disturbing the horse. You are really with the motion and everything, and at the same time, we want to control the horses. How those two things can live together nowadays?
That's the thing. I think it's not about control. It's like Tristan Tucker. You heard of the guy?
Yeah, no? I like
I like him a lot. I think he has a very interesting view of horses. It's about creating a partnership with your horse. It's not about controlling. It's trying to put yourself as equal in a sense. You're gonna guide him through a course, and he's gonna help you to solve the questions and the problems there. So I think it's towards that direction. It's not always when I talk, I'm not talking when I'm giving lessons, so I'm never saying we're trying to control your horse. It's try to make him understand what you're asking him to. Like, try to be very clear about your aids, very clear with your leg, very clear with your hand, very clear with your body. Don't give them double information. Like many times you see riders trying to slow down, kicking or moving with the saddle, pushing them forward but pulling in the mouth. So try to be very clear on your communication with them, and then at one point when this really melts on it, it feels like you're doing nothing. You're going around in the ring, and it is very enjoyable. But yeah, I understand the concept of control, because that's always what we've been told. But I like to slightly change just a little bit the narrative of trying to find a communication with them and making them understand what you're asking.
In the end, they want to do what we are willing them to do.
I read a book about a cowboy, and one sentence he said, and really for me was fantastic, was a horse, even when you are beating or being hard on them, he's still at that moment really trying to understand your information to do the right thing. So a horse by nature, he's always trying to do the right thing. The biggest issue is that, in my opinion, is that we want them to see the world as we see it and not the way they see it. We have to have that always in mind. How do they see things? They are still, they are animals in the chain that they run away from lions. So if there's things that spook, they want to run away. They don't know the difference. So all those little things have to be in accounting for. It cannot be just that we think, okay, they got to do this, and that horse is going to also do this. So it has to be a little bit of a feeling of partnership, communication, and that we can communicate together.
Really nice. I received a question from Gui Foroni, Brazilian rider, and he was asking how you see the state of relaxation when you have, for example, a jump off or something that by instinct we have to be a little bit more tense or more focused, but at the same time when you get breathing and relaxation, that could help, because he sees on you that you get into those states time by time. So tell me a bit about that, this state.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit person to person. It's very much you have to learn from yourself what you need. For me, I'm super hyper competitive, so I learned by the years that when I'm too excited about trying to win a class, I can do mistakes just because I'm too excited about it, and adrenaline is too up and heartbeat is too up. And so I try to work on breathing exercises whatever in the ring or going into the ring and stuff, to try to calm myself down and have, of course, a plan, and try to go a little bit more, trust my feeling with things, how it happens and stuff. Then to try to, I'm gonna win this, because many times when I did that in the past, gave mistakes to me. And also I think there is a slightly difference also from horse to horse. There is horse that I need to get the horse a bit, and also myself, because otherwise we're not quick enough. Or there is horses that like a diamond, for example, there is a super excited horse and really wants to do the job, really wants to go all the time, that I really need to think about my breathing also while in the course. And a very interesting thing, I use this app Whoop, this bracelet. It's a thing that
I didn't know that one.
You control a lot of things and when I just got it, of course, like all trying to understand all the things, I start to measure my heart beat during the class, and my heartbeat in the warm-up. Okay, heartbeat in the warm-up with every horse very high, super, from concentration, like trying to concentrate. I'm a little bit of a difficult guy in the warm-up. I'm really on my zone. Heartbeat in the ring, then there is a drop. There's always my break before going in the ring, and then heartbeat in the ring really depended on the horse, and I did many times. So if the horse was really hot or like a lot of blood, like diamond, heartbeat was very low. And then if the horse was normal, a bit more of the colder side, heartbeat was higher. So
that's interesting, because in the end the state is like a compensation of the state of the horse.
Exactly. To try to
balance the general state of the combination.
Exactly.
Oh, this is a big lesson today. Really, really nice. Talking about young horses, how you usually prepare them in the day-to-day work, and also how to get them motivated enough, how to do the right, not too much, not too less. How you see this?
I think very important is first ages and groups. I mean, I don't work with so young horses, mostly from 6 up. Then we also try to really analyze each individual, the same as I do with my sport horses, to try to see where they are on their career, because a 6-year-old can be very, very green and another one advanced. Try to understand that very much, and then try to, the part of, from keeping them engaged and fresh and happy about working. We have an amazing facility. We're very lucky with that. We have grass fields and gallops and sand rings, 2 sand rings indoor, and so we have the woods. So we have different works that we can do. But I think most important is to not overdo with them. If I can, I prefer to do the mistake that I'm doing less with a young horse than I'm doing more. So if I'm gonna do something wrong, I would do it because I didn't do enough work, then that I did too much, or because I didn't do enough jumping, then I did it too much. Because in my case, I'm always thinking on long-term career, because I want the horses that's 9-10-year-olds to start to perform. So then on this case, it's better that even if they are 5, 6, 7 and they're not really doing the classes, it's not a problem. The most important to me is that the basic education is done. Like really that we can educate them on the flat work, educate the flat work with jumping, basics exercise, trot cavaletti to crosses, and the same thing with the longing, do a bit of cavaletti on the longe, and the horse learns by himself how to balance himself, how to, they love this word, no proprioception, that they have an idea where the legs are and how they do it and all this. So all those little works, I think in the end, thinking on the horse, it really brings them as a complete horse in the future.
Okay, really nice. And we talked about horse preparation, but and your preparation, the physical preparation. I heard that you exercise. Is that every day? How is your, let's say, your basically routine in a Monday or Tuesday when you don't have a show? How you organize your day between riding and exercising yourself?
Yeah, I try to do it more and more, physical exercise, because I was never a person who liked to go to the gym, never. I loved sports and I loved to do sports, but I never really liked to go to the gym. It was not something I ever done. But as many riders, I started having sore back and problems on my lower back, and then by that I start working out. And I met a guy, Diego Linares, which is Rider Balances, his company. That was in 2020 actually, and he really changed my physical situation. And he also helped me a lot to think about the horses, because he has the same principle with the 3 points. He has it for us.
Oh, yeah.
So he understands the muscles and the crossing of how everything works, what is connected to what. And of course, all of us, we are different. You can see on me, I put right shoulder backwards every time I'm riding, and naturally I drop the right hip. So I ride always like this. Now he's gonna analyze that next video. So I'm like this all the time, many times. So he's always trying to, when we work, to try to create this compensation, and naturally that's what released the pain on the tensions on the back and shoulders. So I try to work as much as I can. Of course, for me, time is something a little bit difficult, because we have a busy stable with a lot of horses. I have 3 kids with Angelica, and I have a wife, and so we're traveling a lot. So I try to work with Diego at home when I'm home. So mostly from 6 to 7 in the morning, and then the kids are up. And then the normal day with the kids, we have breakfast together.
Like before everything, it starts with the physical preparation. First thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning, because I tried different ways and didn't really work. I tried to do it lunchtime when we had the lunch break at the stables, but then there's a horse to try, there's a client who'll come, or you delay with something, and then you have to cancel. And then I tried late in the afternoon, and then your wife is not happy.
Sometimes you are also
tired,
or
and you also away because you have to travel to try a horse somewhere, and you don't come back on time, and those things. So because I knew it was important, and for me it was hard to find time, I said, okay,
6 in the morning
commitment, let's wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock we do it, and then 6 to 7, and then breakfast with the kids, bring them to school because it's on the way to the stables, and normally I'm at the stables at 9, and then the whole day in the stables. That's a bit our daily routine.
Okay, Marlon, very good. It was really, really helpful, really insightful, and really happy to be here today and to hear all that. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thanks again.
You're
for
a big
everything.
idol for us.
No, it's it's just
we are very proud of you.
Thank you so much.